All right, let's take a look at Polkadot, Kusama, and Moonriver price action. If that's what you're here for, even though I have an Ethereum shirt and a Dash hat on, I like to sport my Dash hat. Those are the three we're going to check out. And if you're new, here's what my channel does for you. I help you with the third point in the triangle of crypto info that you need to be getting, but you're typically only getting two if you're newer to the space: project fundamentals, news-based sources. I help you understand charts so they're not foreign to you when you're clicking around with your money, because clicking around with your money based off of news and fundamentals videos is very far from being finesse in terms of timing and understanding, hey, do I have a good statistical edge before I click around? So if that sounds good, and we do focus on altcoins here on this channel with the specific context of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I'm going to link the video to my recent two Bitcoin videos up here. You need to check those out. One is focused on the weekly, what is going to happen within this weekly candle and what that means for the next 2 weeks. And my video from today is focused more on the daily if things are overheated. You're going to need to see those videos in order to have the, I guess, icing on the cake or the season on the food for this analysis, because altcoin price action absolutely depends on Bitcoin and particularly Ethereum for altcoins. So let's get into it. And returning viewers, smash like for me. Stop everything you're doing. Even if you're driving, pull over. You shouldn't be watching a video anyway. If you're driving, smash like, punch it in the face, flip it off, give it a love tap, whatever, and leave me a quick comment, even if it's just a quick emoji. Help out the algo so I can continue making videos for you. So here, let's jump into it. And let's get after it. Let's start with the daily chart on Polkadot. When you have a bullish move, it is very healthy to come back for this. So the green line is the RSI, the white line is the RSI CMA. It's extremely healthy to come back and check it and essentially continue bouncing off of it. A lot of times what you see is this white line, once it enters the bullish control zone. So you see how this area here is green all the way across, right? And this is not green and this is red. Typically you have a recheck before blasting into here. If RSI can get above here, it could not, but this would be the second try to get above. So the RSI particularly is insinuating, hey, I'm getting my recheck. I've already tested this bullish control zone once. I'm going to try to bust in there. And usually it stays in there and doesn't come to recheck the white line EMA until the EMA makes its way in here. And then you often have, you know, wick back down or a daily close right at the daily 10 before some type of continuation. Another thing that often happens is the EMA can just get squeezed up here and RSI can't quite get in, and then it busts down, and then you have a move down before you get to move back up, and you essentially form a trend line on higher lows of the RSI itself. So that could be in play as well. However, with Bitcoin being as bullish as it is, if Ethereum can close, so per that video that I linked earlier, if Ethereum can close this week or next week above 39.52, which is going to happen one of these weeks soon, this will, I mean, the likelihood of this busting in to this bullish control zone and really making a big move is pretty high. Now, clearly, if Bitcoin starts petering out right after making all-time highs, let's say it was a massive bull trap, things come back down to 50K, something like that, clearly this is going to bust below, make its way down, probably paying off, maybe even off this white line, and that could take, you know, several weeks to happen for the daily to come back here and reset before it gives another try. So there is a small threat for that. However, I think most of the evidence is pointing towards another strong push to the upside for Bitcoin, and Ethereum should follow maybe a week behind in terms of a percentage of distance away from its all-time high, because Bitcoin's right there right now. It's like 1% away to, I don't know, it's very, very close right now. And Ethereum is likely to follow, and which then, once Ethereum gets its push up, closes that week. Here, let's just take a look at Ethereum real quick so you see what I'm saying. For those of you who don't take the time to watch my other video, once Ethereum can close a weekly candle above where these weekly candles were, it'll probably have a backfill the first few days of the week, but it's the chances of it taking off that next week after that is very, very high. And the week, so since we're only 2 days into this week, I am thinking that it's a strong possibility, I'm not saying probability, but that the first 2 days, this wick down here, it's just a backfill before it comes up and closes above, and the next week will be a bigger green candle. I mean, something perhaps as close to that. So you can see how, you know, even so this green candle here even had a backfill down, right? I think that that's what this is shaping up to be, because it's so early in the week. And what that means, going back to DOT here, is that DOT could follow Ethereum, close a week here, and then the next week be even bigger. I mean, taking it to $62 in a week. I mean, let's see on a percentage basis. So if it closed there, let's take a look. So 40% in a week, does that happen often? Well, let's take a look. So from open to close, that's 35%. Open to close, 60%. Open to close, 44%. So heck yeah, it happens. So really, I mean, next week's, so if this week for DOT were to close above this line, I think that it would have a decent chance. I'm not saying 55, 60, whatever, but it would have a strong chance. Particularly if Bitcoin gets into a short squeeze and keeps really riding, the price target for the end of next week would be around $62, $63 for DOT. As if, and again, that's based on if this week closes above this line, which is coming at about $44.70, right about there. So it definitely depends on this weekly closure. Now, what is the daily chart saying? The daily chart is saying, like I said, it's a strong retest. It looks like it's ready to come back in. So what does that mean on the chart itself? Well, it looks like the 10 EMA is getting ready to squeeze price, and this could take a couple more days. But then if you close here on Sunday, you're not far from the daily 10 EMA. You recently checked it. So this would be allowed to have a massive next week because it's already been checking the daily 10 multiple times. That's all you need in a bullish move. An asset. So for example, Bitcoin has recently doubled in price, only touching the EMA, the daily 10 EMA a few times. It went from 10K to 20K. So this technically in a bullish whole market setup. Now in bear markets, no, that's not how it works. But in bull markets, this is all it needs to really give a great push up, significantly higher. It can easily more than double in price because Bitcoin has done that, right? Now, will Bitcoin keep charging and give this enough time to get all the way up there before Bitcoin corrects? I don't know. However, another situation that could happen is the Bitcoin sell-off could bring alts down for a day or two, but then people begin buying altcoins with that, and then it's altcoins' turn, and that's when Bitcoin dominance tanks. So that's essentially what I think. So what that means on the DOT for chart. The chart for DOT is you could get that weekly. So a day closes up here. Let's say around Sunday, it really starts pushing. Bitcoin takes that correction and it comes back down, but then people use profits from Bitcoin to buy altcoins, and then you scream up. But in a weekly candle, that would just be like a backfill for a few days as Bitcoin corrects. And that week you have, so going to the weekly scale, you would have multiple green weeks in a row, but within 1 week, you could have something like a 12, 10% dip as Bitcoin's dropping back down to test all-time highs. And then Bitcoin dominance starts dropping from there and doesn't really come back up. So that could easily happen as well. And again, a lot can happen within a week, but once this closes above, the chance of having 2 green weeks in a row is pretty high. It's pretty high. So that's what we got. Now, for Kusama is even farther below its top line with the highest weekly close. So you have yet to form a higher local high. So Bitcoin has already formed a higher local high, and Kusama is way behind Bitcoin right now. So take a look at Bitcoin. So local high, Bitcoin's already gone past the local high and is testing and has actually closed a week higher than any week ever. This is the highest weekly closure for Bitcoin ever, which means this week is very, very, very likely going to end green and potentially a very large green candle. And it has a decent likelihood of having 2 more weeks close, just like I said for Kusama and DOT. If you get 1 candle closure above the highest, oftentimes the next 2 weeks are green. That's just how crypto works. I mean, it's very regular that happens. All right. Now, so let's go back to Kusama here. So Kusama's got a lot of work to do, and it's possible that it does play catch up. It's possible that this week closes above, the next week tests but closes here, and so that might be when Bitcoin's cooling down. So then you have a retest red candle here, then you have a weekly close above, and then you really start flying, and that would put you the week of November 15th. I would say with the guess that Bitcoin cools off in about 3 weeks, So a retest of this recent weekly double candle here. So this recent high would be very likely. The next week kind of recovers, and the week of the 15th. So that would be a loose guess of how 𝐃𝐤𝐬𝐿 rolls. However, there is like news releases and a product release for the Polkadot ecosystem that's coming up. That could create the situation that this week closes above, the next week closes above the next line, and then it really takes off. That is possible. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think the scenario previous to this that I just mapped out is more likely. However, the cool thing about 𝐃𝐤𝐬𝐿 is it is a whole level below both Ethereum and DOT, which Ethereum and DOT are equivalent to testing this line. And it's 2 levels below Bitcoin because Bitcoin's already closed below this equivalent line. So this could make a catch-up situation where the gains can get pretty nice here. And you have a nice setup where you've ridden the weekly 20. Like this could really start moving is what I'm saying. It could. Do I think that's most probable? I think it'll start moving. I think it'll start moving. Come back down, retest this line with Bitcoin cools off, close. And I'm really gearing towards the week of November 15th for this asset. That will be a big, nice green week that charges above this line. That's what I'm thinking. However, there is a decent possibility that it simply plays catch up and it gets right back in the game on par with both Bitcoin and Ethereum and DOT. Maybe not as far as Bitcoin, but get on par with Ethereum and Polkadot closing above this line as they do, which means in order to do that, it's got to catch up quickly. So there could be a big move coming up for 𝐃𝐤𝐬𝐿. Yeah, really, really big move. So diving into the daily RSI has a lot of room, and it's had a lot of healthy retests of the EMA's RSI. So this could just charge right up and test this bullish control zone before rechecking the EMA healthily. And that would be the catch up. That would be closing above that top line on a weekly basis. It could easily happen. So 𝐃𝐤𝐬𝐿 might scream here very, 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 very shortly, and that screaming up would be most likely, I guess, attributed to catching up from a structural basis on the chart to both Ethereum and Polkadot Moonriver. All right, so Moonriver had a release of coins. They increased their token supply by 25% in a single day. Okay, so it had a nice range and it broke below, and that release of coins likely is, I hate to like go into charts and say that's why it, when YouTubers say, why did price fall? It's always supply and demand. Like there were more sellers than buyers. I mean, does news stimulate that? Yeah, it does, but always looking for a why is kind of so. I would hate to say why. However, it could be a large factor of why Mover broke below a very, very strong base range. I mean, see all this? Like this was a strong range base. Like it is surprising that it happened. And I would guess that without those release of 25% of the increase the token supply by 25%, without that, I really doubt that this would have happened because that base was so strong. Now, what's going on with the Mover right now? Well, it does look like it does seem to have found a local low. It could, so with this being a local low, it could continue moving sideways until it hits this line, which on an origin line basis aligns with price action down here. It could easily mosey its way. So with Bitcoin and all, and Ethereum being as bullish as they are, I would say there would be more volatility than that. But if you did see Mover move sideways and just get stuck between it's like 21 and 10 EMA like this for a while and write it, and these just are kissing forever. So the yellow line and actually let me make it in the right color. So something like this. If you see multiple days, so this is the daily chart where the 10 and 21 are just kissing, right? And price is, either stuck within it. Price is either stuck within it, or, which I think the second one is more likely, or it comes up, test the previous to see how that was the bottom of the range, comes up, test it, and then comes to recheck this cross, right? And that would make the red line actually come up here, come back below, because it would retest into it. I think that's actually more probable. A big push up to like maybe up to $300 and then come back down, ride these EMAs. So either case, getting stuck between in a sandwich squeeze play style, would be awesome. That would be a great buy, but it's going to take several days. It's going to take over a week for that to happen, to get like a really, really like low volatility, ready to expand, just boiled up pressure. That's going to take a couple weeks. That would lead you into the end of close to the end of October. About October 28th would be roughly where I would say this is going to have to fly. And if that happens, they would likely fly, even in Bitcoin, is just kind of moving sideways. But I think it's more likely it comes up, tests the bottom of this range, falls back into the 10 and 21 EMA, and then takes off. So my timing for Mover, I don't think there's going to be like a sustained, really big rally until around November 1st. And the cool thing about that is the timing on Mover getting a really big pop, it might align perfectly with Bitcoin really racing up past all-time highs, maybe even hitting something like 60K, cooling off, and that would allow Mover to move sideways, sideways, sideways. And once Bitcoin's ready to at least consolidate, maybe not charge up, as long as Bitcoin's consolidating, guess what people are doing? There are still people using Bitcoin to sell, to take profits, to buy altcoins. And this setup here would bring a lot of buyers to the table. So the timing for Mover around November 1st, it could set it up for a massive, massive move if that were all to play out. And that's definitely contingent upon how Bitcoin behaves, how the price action goes, all that kind of stuff. But that would be my guess. That would be a strong possibility. I'm not saying it's a probability over 50% for that to happen, but that could easily, be the momentous factor to bring this to all-time highs in a massive push, retest all-time highs, and keep going. It could easily happen. So Mover, even though it had a big drop, I mean, a nice buy setup late October could be a nice time to get pick that up. And this is not financial advice. We're definitely, and very obviously talking about Mover Pokemon cards. It's, everybody has those Pokemon cards with Mover on it. So that's what we're talking about, not a financial advice, and this is not financial advice. However, this is my guess on timing on how this Pokemon card will move. So everybody, if you like what you saw here today, and you haven't hit the like button or left me a comment, just even put like, oh, or you suck, LOL, or you suck, actually you do suck, whatever you want to do, leave me that. It's going to help me, or the YouTube algo, and that will help me continue making videos for you and keep you in the know. And if you're new and you like what you saw, hit subscribe and hit that bell so you can stay in the know, and check out my playlist of altcoins so you can see which altcoins I cover regularly. And if you're a fan of those, this is probably a channel where you want to land. And if so, our community is really geeked out about, a lot of coins like BPro, particularly Trias, Mover, and several other coins. So come join the community. The links are in the description section, and I give exact details on real examples of what information and content I provide for each tier, and you can check that out as well. So we'll see y'all later.